Happy Hump Day, GGC family. So good to see each of you. So glad that you're tuned in. And listen, man, we're so excited about tonight's session. But I wanted to let y'all know something before we jump in, that you've made it to Hump Day, Hump Day, Hump Day. You've made it over the hump. That is the middle of the week. And so we're so excited about all that God has been doing. We trust that you're healthy and well. With so much happening, it's still a pandemic. So again, with so much happening, it's so exciting to know that we can still stay connected, even as a church family, whether it's in person or online. As we've coined this phrase, digital is not original to GGC, but it's the digital space between physical and digital. And so just excited about all that you guys are doing to help us stay connected. Meaning, go ahead and hit the like button, and if you haven't invited somebody, share this with some family members, share this with friends, let them know that we're on. And in just a few, we're getting ready to dive right in. I want to let y'all know that we have a special presentation tonight. Obviously, I'm not Bishop Ed, and this is not Living Life with Bishop Ed specifically tonight, because Bishop has us on a special assignment. Tonight's message will come from Dr. Tim Terry. He is a licensed practical and professional counselor, and he added tremendous value to us as an organization, to us as a ministry, to the body of Christ at large when he shared at our Thrive conference last year. And we want you guys to check out this keynote session. Here's the reality, family. Over the last 2 weeks, Bishop said he's done 7 funerals. So many people are grieving, so many people are hurting, so many people are experiencing depression. And so sometimes we'll say, just pray it away, just pray it away. But maybe, just maybe, you need prayer and therapy. So again, we are really going to lean into the mental health space. And so tonight's session is going to add value to you. Trust me, get your pen, get your paper. It's going to be extremely practical, and I trust that it will add value to your life. If you haven't already done so, let somebody else know that we're on right now, then. All right, let's do it.
I am a licensed professional therapist. I have worked for 16 years in Shelby County Schools in the alternative setting. I've been in private practice for the last 4 years. I've worked at Lakeside, so I've seen pretty much all of mental health behaviors that can exist. So when people come to me in therapy, one of the first things I'll say, this is not religious counseling. This is not spiritual counseling. I'm glad you said that, Charles, that we grew up in church. And one of the reasons why I say that is because, you know what? Church folks love to pray. Church folks love to come to the altar. And we love to get the touch. But you know what we don't like? We don't like to do the work. And so I let people know in first session, this is going to be some work. This is going to be some work. And so part of releasing the stigma of mental health is understanding first, it's going to require something from you. Here's the beautiful thing about that. We tend not to ask for things. We tend not to let people know what we really want, because if we expose those things, man, something wrong with me. So the people that come down here to the altar, they don't really tell you what's going on. Yeah, I'm sad, I lost my job. We can do those things easily. Nobody's gonna come down here and tell you I'm a pedophile. No one's gonna come down here and tell you I'm wrestling, I'm struggling with these hallucinations. We don't talk about that, right? So let's figure it out. You are here. You know how you go to the mall? The sign says you are here. Stigma, a mental or physical mark that is characteristic of a defect or a disease. Why is that important? If I feel that something is wrong with me, I'm defective, I feel ostracized. And I don't want you to know there's something wrong with me. Let me say this. You can raise your hand if you want, but you don't really have to. I already know the answer. Raise your hand if you've ever suffered from a mental illness. Okay. Most people didn't raise their hand because we don't think mental illness, well, like the judge said, when we think of mental illness, we may think of retardation, I'm developmentally slow. But if you go to any Kroger, I can just ask the room, has anybody in here ever been depressed? Anybody ever here been anxious? Anyone in here ever suffered from grief for a sustained amount of time? We all have, right? But we don't want to be isolated as defective. And so I don't keep telling you there's something bothering me. There's a shelf life on my grief. So we're going to get there by releasing this stigma of mental health. We're going to explore some myths. We're going to confess, confront, and conquer. We're going to explore the work, and then we're going to commit to the work. You can go to the next slide. So how do we do that? Some common myths about therapy. You let me know which one resonates with you. Black people don't do therapy. Church folks shouldn't have problems. Therapy is for crazy folks. Man, therapy is too expensive. I won't be accepted. That's white folks stuff. We pray about it. We cast our cares upon him. We don't be anxious for nothing. I might be crazy, but I ain't that crazy. I don't have the time, money, energy for that. And if I go, is this an indication of how I'm living and my behavior, my belief, my faith? Because if I come to church all the time, I'm paying my tithes, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, nothing bad should happen to me, right? That's what people in the world think, man. The folk go to church, man, y'all supposed to be straight. It's not what it is. Do you guys have anyone in your family, in your community, in your world that has gone to therapy? Okay. Did they recommend therapy moving forward to any of you? Nobody raised their hand. Why is that, you think? I know somebody that went to therapy, but I don't talk about it. I'm afraid to share. Why do you think that is? You can for real answer. I'm judged. I'm embarrassed. People talk too much. Do people talk in the church? People talk in your family? People talk on the job? Do you talk? Okay. So part of these bits from our community, the reason why this is so important, I was telling Charles, the black church has represented for so long the voice of what happens in our community. And so if I'm struggling with something and the black church said, hey, if you don't fit into this box, it's a wrap on you. We don't deal with you. We're going to sit you down. We're going to ostracize you. And if I'm made to feel like I'm alone or I can't share my authentic self, who I'm going to talk to? And so now when I come to the altar, that's when I just pray for, I got a headache. Lord, take care of me. I need some finances. We make it easy. But we don't deal with the real. We don't deal with the source. You can go to the next slide. So how do we get there? We're going to confess it. The first thing I want you to know and understand, it's okay that you're not okay. It's okay that you're not okay. Allow yourself to not be okay sometimes. That means, and I'm going to get into this a little later, but I just want to give it to you right now. Sometimes you're going to wake up and you're going to feel 100%, oh my God, I feel amazing. I'm not sore. I can check every box A to Z. I'm 100%. Then sometimes I'm going to wake up and I'm like, oh my God, it's raining. I don't feel like going to work. It's Monday. I'm at 60%. Are you going to feel like doing A through Z that day? Probably not. And when you are not okay, that is the time to be very protective of your boundaries. And if you don't have any boundaries, folks gonna bust your head to the white meat. It's okay that you're not okay. Radical acceptance is one of those things. It is what it is. Being able to accept the good, the bad, the ugly. This is actually a DBT skill. It's called radical acceptance. It is what it is, being able to accept the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, the bad, the ugly. We are all of those things. Good, bad, and ugly. Sometimes, on a good Saturday like this, you might get some good Tim. But let me cross the street to my car and somebody cut me off, you might see some bad Tim. Let them folks at my job not pay me and they gonna see some ugly Tim. You get what I'm saying? We are all of these things. The danger of always having to be strong, not realizing that you don't have to always be okay, is it produces a false sense of reality and it's unsustainable. Are you the go-to person in your family? Everybody calls you. You're the one that went to school. You're the one that has a good job. You help everybody. You're also the one that says, if I don't do it, it won't get done. That's unsustainable. You are putting pressure, undue, unrealized pressure on yourself that is unsustainable. Give yourself permission to not be okay as you extend grace, mercy, and kindness to yourself. How many of you guys extend grace to others? You extend kindness, mercy to others. You go hard for everybody else except you. That's terrible. That is terrible. You go hard for your kids. If your kids wake up, Mom, my throat hurt, my stomach hurt. You for real? Yeah, okay, stay home. How many of you go to work and you sick? How many of you, outside of the pandemic, you got COVID, you would say, hey, I don't use my sick days when I'm sick. I use my sick days when I want to go out of town. When I'm sick, I just go to work. It's okay not to be okay. They even wrote a book about it. Let me show you. I brought some books because I know we read the word. There's some other books out there too. It's literally called It's Okay That You're Not Okay. It's a great read, by the way, by Megan Devine. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is okay to be vulnerable. I understand that we don't want to be vulnerable with everybody. It's not the wisest thing to do to be vulnerable with everyone. But if you don't have the opportunity or the space to ever be vulnerable, that is a lot of pressure to keep to yourself. That is a lot of undue stress that you're wearing when you feel like there's nobody in this world that I can talk to that understands me. You go to the next slide. So what should we do? I'm kind of moving because I want to get to some questions if we need to. Seek professional help. I gave you radical acceptance. There's another DBT skill called 100% responsibility. I may not be able to control what has happened to me, but I'm 100% in control of how I choose to respond to it. I can't control that I lost my wife. I can't control that we got a divorce, something happened with the kids, any of those things that life throws at you. I cannot control it, but I can control how I choose to respond. So if I am in need of, I've confessed it, hey, something's wrong, I've been crying for no reason for the last 2 weeks, I need to go talk to somebody. Who are you going to talk to? Here are a list of people that you can talk to. And I put these people up here for a reason. Psychiatrist, licensed therapist, your PCP, primary care physician, a psychiatric facility, IOP, PHP program. A psychiatrist generally is just one that prescribes you some medication. It's just like going to the ER. If I feel that your emotions are all over the place, I think Judge talked about someone that experienced bipolar. Your emotions are all over the place. You're manic, you're depressed. So a psychiatrist is going to hear you for about a couple of minutes and going to say, oh, okay, I'm going to prescribe you some medication. That's it. It's medication management. We're going to get you in and out. A licensed therapist is going to help teach you some skills to help get you through how do you deal when your emotions are all over the place. And if you don't know a psychiatrist or a therapist, your primary care doctor is one that could refer you to someone in a psychiatric facility. Like the judge said, there was a guy that called the police and said, hey, I need some help. Mobile crisis most times will send that person to a place like Lakeside. Most of us think that is the extreme. Well, I ain't going to no Lakeside. Who gonna see me? I'm not telling nobody my business. But think, you've done the awareness part. You've confessed it. I know there's something wrong. But now what are you going to do about it? Until you look in the mirror and say, hey, I recognize, man, it's something in my eye, something in my nose. What would be the point of looking in the mirror, then turning around and doing nothing about it? Here's what we tend to do. You can go to the next slide. This is who we talk to. Family, friends, and if you are your biggest advisor, you got some real problems. Like, man, I don't tell nobody my business. I consult with me. For all you know, that's all you know. I don't care how brilliant you are. But most times, we'll consult with our friends, our family, and ourselves. Here's where I put the pastor in there. And I don't know how much of this Bishop does or used to do, but the pastor gets the phone call for everything. He's the counselor when you and your wife, your spouse are going through it. He counsels for grief. He has been the counselor when there has been molestation in the household. He has been the counselor when there has been rape in the household. He has been the counselor to go to when we had that uncle upstairs that nobody's supposed to go in their room. Pastor, what are we supposed to do about that? And we've gone to the pastor. But you know what I just said, for all you know, that's all you know. Sometimes the pastor gives the worst advice because he don't know. If something wrong with my car, I go out here and I get in I'm totally not a mechanic. Ching, 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 ching. I'm hot because I don't know what to do beyond. I got some gas, my battery going. That's it. Who should I call? My family? My friends? When I have lost my child and my job, they'll give me a few days. Even the airlines will give you a 3-day, I forgot what they call the flights. Bereavement fare. They give you a bereavement fare. The job may give you a couple of weeks. Your friends are going to tell you, hey, we're here for you. We are here whenever you need us. What's the shelf life on that? Huh? Somebody said 24 hours. That's cold. Now your family and friends, they'll give you a few weeks, few months, and then what do they start to tell you? Hey, you got to come on out of that now. You've been around here crying all this time. You got to come on out. He wants you to live. They want you to get out. You've lost this significant other, your partner. We give horrible advice sometimes. The best way to get is to get underneath another. Y'all ever heard that phrase before? That's what folks will tell us. And in the church, remember, I go back to this. The church has said for a long time, has been the singular voice in the African American community. And so whatever we say here It permeates throughout the black community, the barbershops. So if the church tell me just because of my lifestyle choice, you can't come in here, you can't do that in here. And when I feel that way and I have no community, that happens in the rest of the community because the church sets the tone. I lose my family because sometimes the husband or the wife will listen to what pastor says, and that causes irreparable damage to the kids. And so the kids grow up seeing, nah, my mama don't do what my daddy say. My daddy don't talk. That's what we're looking for, the easy way out. And if it causes us to do some work, not really for that. You go to the next slide. Here's some of the work. My mindset tells me, because I have been in church all my life, that I should be humble, that I should be selfless. You give the shirt off your back. You don't know if you're entertaining a stranger. You give somebody your last $2. And if you're in crisis, my question to you is, why would you do that? What do they tell you on the airplane? In the event of crisis, what? Put your mask on first. Why do they tell you that? You cannot save anybody else until you are stable. The unfortunate part about this is many of us will set ourselves on fire to keep other people warm. So when in crisis, put your oxygen mask on first. You got to recognize there's something going on with me. I need to now establish some boundaries, some healthy boundaries. It's your responsibility to protect your boundaries. I'll make it simple. Any homeowners in here with a fence? Okay. Do you guys ever have any little kids come jump your fence? I used to do that all the time. My neighbor hated that. Stop jumping my fence. Okay. Whose job is it to protect your boundary? Self. It's your job to protect you. So listen, that means just because you are very talented and your gifts can be used, when they come to you after church and say, sister, so-and-so, blah, can we get you on this ministry? And you are at capacity, whose job is it to say no? Yours. When your kids want to do something else extra and you don't have it to do, the wherewithal, whose job is to protect your boundary? Yours. It doesn't make you a terrible parent. It doesn't make you selfish. It makes you self-focused. And until you become self-focused, again, people will bust your head to the white meat because you're teaching them that, hey, this is okay. It's okay for you guys to do this. Don't be governed by your feelings. Feelings beget feelings. I'll give you an example. If I run a red light and get a ticket, clearly my fault. However, I'm mad. Who am I mad at? You think I'm mad at me? No, I'm mad at the cop. I'm late, man. Don't you know I got to get to work? Initially, I'm upset. But then I also understand, like, man, dude, you got another point on your driving record? And so now I am experiencing some other emotions from that. Some guilt, like, dude, you done got yourself into another situation. Now you got to do this. Feelings beget feelings. If you are a person that is governed by your feelings, you'll make choices and respond to impulses just like that. Walmart loves people like that. That's why when you go on Walmart, what do they have in there? An 8-pound bag of potato chips for $4. Who is that for? People that can't control their feelings. People that can't control their impulses. You don't need an 8-pound bag of potato chips. Here's the work. Seeking to do your best rather than being perfect. And I know this is a big thing in church because we always are saying, hey, we give God a spirit of excellence. We are striving to be like him. He is perfect. God makes no mistakes, right? Last time I checked, none of y'all was God. And you gonna make some mistakes every day. So the agreement to do your best every day or to be perfect. Now keep in mind, I'm not telling you to go out here and do all types of foolery. I am saying, remember the example I gave? Sometimes you wake up at 100%. Sometimes you wake up, sometimes you're 25%, and you just can't go. Understand how to protect your boundaries. Understand where you are. And your best is going to fluctuate from day to day. Because you're not a robot. You're not perfect. I want to get better. I don't get bothered that when I make a mistake and fall, that I got to stay here. I need to understand that, man, I tripped. Ugh. What do I need to do next time? I need to recognize there was something right here that made me trip. So I don't keep tripping. So I continuously get better, one, and I understand that my mistakes, my failures are not the end of the road. It's an opportunity for me to learn and get better. Does that make any sense? Okay.
Wow, what did I tell you? What an amazing session tonight with Tim Terry. It's our prayer and our hope that you've been blessed by the content that you've received. And maybe, let me speak to a few of you who may be saying, Pastor, I'm just not there right now. I don't really trying to hear nothing about no therapy. Maybe this is not for you individually. Maybe this is for your friend. Maybe this is for a family member. Or maybe this is for a coworker. The Bible often calls us as believers the salt and light of the earth. What does that mean practically? It means that we are called to be influencers. That's right. You have a responsibility as a believer to be an influencer. You should help make somebody's day brighter. And so the tools that Tim shared are super practical, things that you could share with your family members, things that you can share with those you love and care for, so that you can continue to be a representative of Jesus. You can continue to be the influencer. I think it's always a blessing when people leave your presence and they can say, man, I'm better off than when I first met them, right? If they could have a conversation with you maybe it's in the break room, and they feel better about their life because they had a conversation with you. That's right. That's what influence looks like very practically. And speaking of influence, what an amazing opportunity it is for us to partner financially. That's right. If you haven't already done so, we have several different ways for you to partner with us, whether it's through Givelify, Cash App, of course, right there on our website. And then we even have people who mail in their checks. Hey, listen, whatever works for you, we invite you to take advantage of it, because you know that the money you give allows us to continue to do our mission and our ministry across the world, not just locally with our partnership with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, but of course also with Compassion International, as we sponsor dozens of children to literally rescue them from poverty, because we are called to be, again, salt and light of the earth. And so we're literally influencing lives all over the world because of your generous contributions. And so we thank you for partnering with us. Thank you for believing in the mission and the work that we're doing here as a ministry. All right, fam, I pray that you guys have an amazing evening. We look to see you on Sunday. Black History Celebration is going down right here at GGC. Wear your African attire, Greek paraphernalia. Maybe you have even some HBCU attire. Whatever you have, we look to see you this weekend. And if you don't have any of that, just show up. We want you in this space on this Sunday. All right, family, y'all have an amazing evening. God bless you.